So I wanted to capture this moment with the door handles. These are, again, the jigs. Okay. The wireframes then fall into the jigs. My son made hammering dies also, so that 3D printed those so that you could take a body hammer and tap, 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 tap. Then these have slots in them. So the best way to demonstrate, I wish I had two hands, is this guy. I'm going to stick him in. This is the other leg, the third leg to the door handle. He needs to be cut. So I formed the corners and then I came back and TIG welded them because it made it nice and strong. Okay, so that's got to be cut to size. And you see that half groove in there. That's for this ring. Okay. In this ring I made on the lathe out of a piece of stock. I took it down to 955, I think. Yeah. Outside diameter 955. Ordered my taps. My taps came in today. I was just so excited. I threaded them. And there's just crap in the threads right now. But it's not a big deal anymore. Ordered the tap M16 125. I knew it wasn't a standard tap. Possibly you can tell by just simply looking. They're M16 by 1 millimeter. Why I didn't just go grab a tap or a thread gauge and check that, I don't know. So anyway, I chased the tap down the tube on the other side of this tube. I only went about 2 inches because these are all 240 thou thick. Okay, I've thrown this one around a little bit. But anyway, so that now I stuck that into the lathe, went to the other side. It is just 1 inch bar stock. Drilled and just finished cleaning up the inside diameter to 15 millimeters. With metric, it's the outside diameter of the thread, or the hole. It's the hole minus the thread pitch, interestingly enough. So a 16 millimeter hole, 16 millimeter thread, 16 millimeter bolt or a male thread goes into a 15 millimeter hole. So anyway, I turned that down to 15 millimeters and ordered a tap. I'll tap all the way through and then part my individual pieces off of there. I parted 2 off, then went to check them, and doggone it, I got my thread, my pitch off. So anyway, I'll start over, but the concept again is to place that into the jig, place the wireframe in, and I get a clamping surface. I can clamp it, here and here to hold it steady. Zip it with the welder, put the other one on, zip it with the welder, and then I can TIG the other side when I pull it out. So it will, just with a little flex, it'll come out this way. So that's the game plan, and then eventually you'll have this full unit. Whereas before I dropped the nut in down there, now that far below the surface, about 1/8 of an inch below the surface, it'll be threaded. So I'll insert the switch from this side, and then I can grab the bottom of it and tighten it. But it's an O-ring switch. They're not going to come loose. I can Loctite them, but they're a sealed exterior grade switch. So anyway, got to start over. It happens. Okay, get my coffee out of the way. So all these were formed using these jigs. Okay. Made these pieces, and then for this, let's see, that goes down there for this inside leg, these pieces. And then I'm trimming them to length. So I had to add a bridge in here, trim that to length, and fit it into the mold. I got it out of the first one, but I had to destroy the second one, but there's four made. So I've got this pair made, and 4 made for tacking it up because of the obvious. Once you heat this, I think it's PLA. Once you heat it up, it's gone. So, of course, it's going to not maintain its shape. But the process was to make these rings. They're threaded to fit the switch, the push button. So that'll just thread into there. Then they're recessed into the door handle, so you can see how that works. Really hard to do with one hand. Okay, that's a little tight off the... Oh, no, it wasn't. There's just some plastic in there. Okay. And that locates. Then I take one of these and I pop him into here, right? I can't do it with one hand. I need 2 hands. Anyway, popped into there and trimmed until he's just touching. This rig goes in. All been formed. I build a bridge for that. Then I just tig-tack it on. I can get to this side, tig-tack it on, take it out, tig-tack it on, and then I have a template. You can see I use the template to hold everything straight. Get her rocked up. Oh. And that'll then go into the door. So and that pliers there is just a tweak so it goes in smoothly, and it does when I introduce it straight. I've been playing with it. I've got a template, a checker. Oh, it's really hard there. It just fell in. And that allows me to see, make sure it's on the center line on everything. And those threads catch. Anyway, I can play around with them a little bit, but then this will be cast over in a chrome plated handle. So it's been a journey, but 2 done, 2 more to go. I can play with these until, with the pliers, just straighten them out above the thread, but what's all in the plastic, I can bend them up in this area, up here, up in this area, until they just fall in. That's probably the easy part. If I ever need to double check, I can double check with this. to make sure that I stay on the center line. And so just doing it with one hand is actually somewhat therapeutic, because it won't hold on the half circle, it won't stay on there. It's just not enough there. Yeah, it's just not enough there to do it. Anyway, that's the plan. It's getting a little overly complex at this point, but I think the end results are going to be spectacular. Okay, there's my pre-weld setup rig. I'm coming in, I've trimmed him to length. He's touching, just holding him with a chip clip. I've got the template in place. I've got the handle jig fully seated. I'm clamped onto that rod. I'm holding that rod in. I cut a little piece to fit in here. Everything's fully seated in. And then I'll just tack, tack, tack. And then, of course, I have to tear it apart. And then, while it's still in the rig, got my spray bottle and keep it cool so it does flame up. And then I'll wrap tape around every one of these. I'll mark it off at 3/4 of an inch for my studs stick out. It's not super critical that it's 3/4 of an inch is what the other ones had, and they worked well in the car, what the 3D printed ones had. And all of that mock-up worked, and I cut them to that length for a specific reason. They clear the window, but you can reach in from the interior side of the door and get the nut on. So that's the last one there. And then I have 3 made so far. Success. I only made and tapped 4 rings. Don't want to start that over. The OD is consistent. I made them out of a tube, threaded the interior side of the tube, parted them on the lathe so that everything is the same. So, but I only made 4. So 3 is a charm. So 4 is simple, right? Here we go.